Yeah, it was the most unique challenge I've taken on, but that where my confidence came through is eventually doing all the music live, you know. Maybe it was the least responsible thing on the actor's part because the music exists and the performances exist, so maybe I should have been most concerned about spreading cream cheese.
No, you're not wrong. Stakes is high for sure.
Yeah.
And like, well, first of all, like you say, Bob is here. Bob is alive.
This is interpretive. This is not definitive. This is not fact.
Yeah.
This is not how it happened. This is a fable.
Yeah,
you know?
Right, exactly. It's a lot to take on because you're not just having to do it faithfully. In fact, you have to do it uniquely.
Right.
You have to do it in a way that isn't like the songs that exist, because otherwise, just sing along to those.
Exactly.
So that's a whole other thing.
It's a whole other thing, but when you say uniquely, that's what Harry Schiffman, one of my earliest mentors when I was taking on this role, he said, don't worry about being Bob Dylan, like, because people can go see Bob Dylan. They can watch the early footage or go see him now because he still tours. This is about not only myself interpreting Bob, but Edward Norton interpreting Pete Seeger and Monica interpreting Joan Baez and Boyd Holbrook interpreting Johnny Cash, you know, in this moment in the 60s where American culture was a kaleidoscope and Greenwich Village was a kaleidoscope, you know, the way culture still is now too, but it's just, without being like a history teacher, that was the beginning, you know, personalized music, stuff with intention, stuff with poetry. It all started there. In the movie, we did these pre-records, but I'm not playing the guitar on the pre-records. With Nick Baxter, who's a super talented musical supervisor. And the music, and I would butt heads with Nick a lot, the guitar sounded really friendly. It's hard to get that sound. I mean, he was playing on a guitar that was basically falling apart, you know? And I also found like my voice had like a baritone and it all sounded clean. And I was doing vocal warm-ups with Eric Vitro, who was this vocal coach, helped me on Wonka and helped me sing grand on Wonka. And then here I would listen to it back and I'm like, man, this sounds too clean, you know? And then when we would do it on set, it was Song to Woody, which is one of my favorite Bob Dylan songs ever. It was the first one we shot in the movie. You couldn't do it to a playback because it's such an intimate scene. It's in a hospital room with Woody Guthrie and Pete Seeger. And I did it live and it
clicked.
Great, you know? And I'm making mistakes on the guitar a little bit here and there, but you can kind of fill those in after. I went home and I wept that night, not to be dramatic, but it's a song I'd been living with for years and something I could relate to deeply. And I also felt, I come back to this word a lot, I felt like it was the most dignified work I'd ever done. And dignity might be a weird word there, but it felt like so dignified and humble. We're just bringing life to a thing that happened 67 years ago. I went, oh, of course, Leo and Daniel Day-Lewis, of course they do these biopics. It kind of all clicked because there's dignity to it. You're not pulling out of thin air. This happened, you know? Over the course of the movie, it was a constant, you know, the metaphor was like I was throwing this delicately made china on the ground each time we didn't use a pre-record, something we had crafted in LA for 6 months. But there's not a single pre-record in the movie. And then Jim would say to console Nick or myself, you know, treat that as like a work session. You know, you were practicing to do it live. Because all of a sudden, Edward Norton would say it too, something clicked in my voice. There was a certain rawness. Those microphones, those old school microphones we were using, were playing in concert halls. I could get the strum better, and I could get how he was singing.
There's also something really, really beautiful about the natural comforting effect of reverb. And the fact that it allows you, and theater has it. Anywhere where you perform, the idea of what you do being wrapped up and nurtured by the natural reverb of the room
absolutely
allows you the space to be more open and to be freer in there.
Absolutely.
You're in a studio meticulously creating pre-recorded tracks.
Yeah.
That feels to me confined. And
it's confined and contrived, and you can also hear that my arm's not going the way you don't hear Bob's arm going, but he's doing something to his voice.
But you're in that club, and the cameras are rolling, but who cares about them right now? There's a spotlight on you, and you're singing this song.
Exactly, and I didn't know of another music biopic where somebody was doing it live, you know?